essential. So starting with the conversation with your kid, hey, what excites you? What do you want to do? What are your goals for this sport? And then making the child match your investment. So like going on a walk with your child, my daughter and I love to go on walks, and it's a great space for her to open up to me and share with me kind of what she's interested in.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Beyond the Steps, produced by Apolla Performance and Turning Point Dance Creations. I'm Bree Zabrowski, here with my fabulous friend and co-host, Melissa McDaniel Grisham, with another great conversation. We're talking with Casey Day from our favorite Two Dance Moms podcast about how parents can thrive in a competitive dance world. Casey is a fitness trainer, wife to a firefighter, and mom to three, 2 boys and 1 girl. She started off as a basketball mom and was in over her head when her youngest daughter made the competition dance team, making her now a dance mom, a very experienced one at this point. Now, 6 years later, Casey is finding lots of joy and laughter podcasting with Amira Azimi, a fellow dance mom, about all of their experiences as dance moms. So, Casey, welcome back. We're always happy to have you.
Thank you so much. I'm really, really excited to be here with both of you, two of my favorite people to podcast with.
As one of the voices behind the Two Dance Moms podcast, you have a unique perspective into the world of competitive dance from a parent's point of view. What are some of the biggest joys and challenges that competition dance parents commonly face?
I'm going to start with the challenges, and then we can end with the joys. We'll end on the high note. I think the challenge, one of the biggest challenges, is that it's a lot. It's a lot of finances, it's a lot of time, it can be a lot of travel. And with those things, you get a lot of emotion. And it's tiring with so much to give. And again, we can all decide how much we want to give in that, but it you kinda get addicted to it. The kids get into it, the bug bites them in a sense, and they enjoy it so much that you wanna continue. But when you invest a lot, time, energy, money, that is the challenge, but you set yourself up for what is one of the biggest joys, which is a big return on your investment, and it's a lot of growth. It's a lot of joy to watch your kid put a lot of hard work into something and to see the fruit of that labor come about. And I think as a parent, that's one of the greatest joys, is to watch your child really work hard at something and invest themselves into something and then grow in it and see that, hey, hard work does really pay off.
There is a lot of time and money. So it's the whole family too. It's not just the dancer, right? It's the entire family that's involved and invested. And so it does it make you inclined to go, let's go. Let's get excited about this. And you celebrate all the wins because you're all invested.
Yeah. And they're learning on so many levels. I mean, not every child goes on to continue dancing after high school. And so there's big picture wins, big joys that we get to experience in watching them in these life lessons that are going to carry them beyond their dance experience unless they continue to go on. But, like there's the teamwork aspect, there's the work ethic of learning, hey, I'm going to work hard at something and then I get to see that transition into something beautiful.
Which is always a great talking point because there's a segment of the population that inevitably is sitting there going, "What's the point of all of this? Like parents are wasting their money, everybody's wasting their time. They're not going to go off and be professionals. Like, what's the point?" And I think it's everything that you just said. It's instilling in them a set of values that is going to be really hard to learn if they're not part of a team or working towards a goal, right? So having those things is important. But I know there's always different perspectives on that. So it's nice to hear the positive side. Um, I want to talk about finding the right balance. One of the trickiest aspects for dance parents is finding the right balance between being supportive and potentially being overbearing. I'm definitely going to raise my hand. I straddle that line all the time. What are some practical tips for parents to stay involved and be encouraging without adding undue pressure to their young dancers or athletes that are, maybe sometimes almost makes them regress a little bit?
I think my first tip would be have good conversations with your children, whatever sport they're in, be it dance, basketball, whatever they enjoy, and talk to them about what gets them excited, what their goals are. Because it's got to be about what the child's goal is, not about what the parent's goal is. And I think when we're focusing on our goals for our kids, that puts pressure on the child because the child's like, I don't want to do that. Like, why are you forcing me to do this thing that's not the level that I'm at? And we're asking the child to match our dreams and goals and not their dreams and goals. So starting with the conversation with your kid, "Hey, what excites you? What do you wanna do? What are your goals for this sport?" And then making the child match your investment. So I said, "We're investing a lot." It's a lot. And so we did the same thing for my boys with basketball. They played club and they played varsity. And it was like, "Okay, this is, this costs us X amount. It's a certain amount of time, it's a certain amount of energy and travel, and you need to invest the same. You don't have the money. We're not asking you for these things, but on your level, you've got to match what we're putting in." And I think the pressure, that's like support. We're supporting you. We're also holding you to accountability. You said you want to do X, Y, and Z. So we're going to ask you to meet us. We don't want to give more than you're giving. We want to give the same. When the parent is putting in more than the child is willing or interested in putting in, that's when the pressure, because then the parent's like, "You're not doing what we want you to do. We're putting in so much." And the kid might be, "Hey, I didn't really want you to do that much."
And it could change, right? Like they could be, and that's why I think that check-in is really important with your child regularly. We try to do that every year after a season ends, right? Of like, how do you feel? Like, what do how do you feel? Are you enjoying it? What are you getting out of it? All of those important questions. And what do you want for next year? And hopefully, but those things can change. I've definitely seen that happen with children who's might have started, 150% all in, and maybe their priorities shift as they get older.
Speaking of checking in, effective communication between dancers and parents and the staff at dance studios is very crucial. But we have teenagers and preteens, and they often get the eye roll, when you're trying to talk to them. So, what advice do you have for parents for fostering an open and healthy communication channel to ensure that everybody is on the same page?
If you go back to the Two Dance Moms podcast in April, we recorded a podcast episode with Dr. Chelsea Perotti. And she talks about the value of communicating with your kids in spaces where you're not like staring directly at them, because that can be a little intense and intimidating. And again, it goes back to conversations. So, like going on a walk with your child, my daughter and I love to go on walks, and it's a great space for her to open up to me and share with me kind of what she's interested in. So, the communication is really easy, or it's easier, especially during those teenage years when we're doing something, when we're both looking forward rather than staring directly at her and being kind of intense, like, "What do you wanna do about this?" The car rides when we're listening to music. So opening up communication with your child, I think in those kind of like non-pressure settings is what Dr. Chelsea was saying, as opposed to like right after they get off stage or right after they come out of the studio and you're like, "How is this? What's going on?" And it can be kind of intense. We want to create those softer spaces to talk to our children and let them kind of open up a little bit better. And then being able to talk to the studio director on behalf of our child in a nice way and, "Hey, this is something my kid's excited about. What do you think about this?" I know we had a great episode with Melissa about how to communicate with your studio director, and it's super helpful, like honoring the communication channels within your studio, however your studio has set that up, emailing versus texting and getting into that private personal space. I know that that definitely can set people on edge if you are in a professional setting and you're texting them privately, it's kinda sticky, so we never wanna do that. So, finding those good roads for communication, be it on a walk with your child or emailing your director, setting up a meeting rather than texting them when you're upset or whatever.
Yeah, I heard that this is an oldie but a goodie. I feel like I've heard this over the years, but like you should always wait 24 hours before you send that text or email probably, but like if you're at a dance competition and something's bothering you, that is not the time to go spout off and we're quitting and all the things. Like wait until things calm down, that everybody's in a better headspace to deliver and receive the information, so that nobody's coming from an emotional place. I think that's so important as well. um, you mentioned this earlier, Casey, there's a lot of emotion. It can be a very emotionally intense environment for both dancers and parents in the competitive dance world. So, how can parents best support their children through wins, losses, and the inevitable ups and downs of the season? There's a ton of drama to swallow, oftentimes, especially as we get into those teenage years. What's your advice for that?
Taking it back to our episode that we just had, and again, Dr. Chelsea had this great advice about post-performance, rhythms and kind of like routines. And the questions, she has 3 questions that she suggests that a child dancer and a parent can bring this up with their kid as well. It's ask the question, what was good? What can I do better? And how can I do it better? And I think those are really helpful and constructive when we've got a lot of feelings and emotions because we're starting off with positive. It's like, what was good? There were good things. You might be upset. This might be a rough weekend or a rough, routine that you just ran, but there were good elements there and things that you should be proud of. And maybe you smiled bigger than you've ever smiled before and your performance was better. There are good things that came from it. And getting your child dancer to focus on those things will redirect their brain space immediately. And then I think it's like, okay, you were frustrated. We're not going to shy away from the fact that something happened that you're upset about. What do we wanna do better? And that's okay. We wanna grow. We wanna develop in anything that we're putting our time to, and that shouldn't be, like, shamed. Like, it's good to work on what you're doing if you're putting a lot of time into something. So what do you wanna do better? And then being practical about it. Okay, how do we do this? And me as a dance parent who didn't dance growing up, you know, I might not know how you get better at this thing. I may need to have you talk to the director or I talk to the director and say, "Hey, my child really wants to get better at such and such. Like, what are those practical steps that she can do to get better in this area?" And I think that helps with the emotion because we are acknowledging good things, we're not avoiding the bad things, and then we're coming up with a plan. I'm all about a plan. We're coming up with a plan on how to work on something.
Yeah, what you said is so important in that parents, it's important to be supportive and aware enough of what's going on to be able to ask the right questions. And that's what I think that the thing is because there's so many parents that really don't know what this is about because they've never done it and they're trying so hard to give the opportunities and to support their athlete however they can. But sometimes it's just about paying attention and going, something isn't right. They're missing this and I don't know how in the heck they're going to develop that or get that, but if I ask, I can get pointed in the right direction. And I think so many parents have a hands-off approach, like that's their thing, I'm going to let them figure this out. They only know what they know, and oftentimes times kids don't know how to ask those questions. So that is what they need you to do is just be aware and ask for the opportunities and ask for the questions, even if you don't understand the mechanics of it all.
And that, I mean, to your point, and the other side of that is to ask a question, not to come with an answer that you have made based on assumptions, uh, or saw online or heard on TikTok or talked to somebody from a studio from somewhere else and they said that this is the way to do things. So I think a lot of times parents will come with an answer and a why haven't you more so rather than a question. And that curiosity, yeah, that curiosity is very, very important. That's I'm about to give some homework before I go to homework. Come with curiosity. Curiosity is great.
I think it's very disarming too. When I come to somebody with like the answer to my problem and I tell them, you need to do this, you need to fix that. It's very like people put up their walls and they're like, I don't, if I come into a conversation with questions and I'm not afraid to, and I don't want this to sound manipulative, but I'm not afraid to say the things that I'm really happy with about my studio and to like, hey, I love this about our studio. We have this question. How do we do this? My dancer wants this. I think that's the other thing that is very disarming as a parent talking with the studio is acknowledging this is what my kid wants. This isn't what I want for my like I want my daughter to have XYZ. I want this. No, my daughter is interested in getting better at this. How do we go about that? And then I think it's very disarming to hear that because it's like, oh, the kid is excited to learn. The kid wants to do this. It's not the parent coming and pressuring and like trying to run a situation.
The parent coach relationship, I think it cannot be overstated how important it is that it's collaborative. If if you have a coach that keeps the parent at arm's length, or you have a parent that just feels like they don't have a role in this, they drop their kid off and leave and never watch, never pay attention to what's going on. I think there's a missed opportunity there in terms of developing that young athlete to meet their potential, whatever that is. Right. I think when it's a collaborative process, and it's like the parent understanding their role is to support and also encourage at home when they're not in studio, and the coach knowing that, hey, I have a kid that really, really wants this, that really, is coachable and wants the opportunities. I think that's the ideal situation.
So we want to go to homework. Casey, it's time for homework for parents who are new to the competition dance world or are looking for ways to enhance their experience. So what are two key pieces of wisdom that you've gained from your podcast or your personal journey that you would like to share?
Two pieces of wisdom. We're going to do one practical and one emotional. And the practical one is to plan. There are only so many things that are actually controllable for us. And when we do plan ahead and control those things and get them all organized and orderly, it gives us a little more bandwidth, I think, emotionally to be there for our kids and to support them because we're not worried about all these other little things because we got it taken care of ahead of time. Because there are plenty of things that we can't control. There are going to be a number of things outside of our control within the dance season. So, yeah, so much, so much. So, being organized and planning all those things, that's a lot of what our podcast is about, is ways that we as parents can plan ahead and kind of circumvent some of the chaos and have a little more fun with our child while we're doing the dance competition. So that'd be my one, is that practical. And number 2 would be emotionally finding wins that are outside of awards and adjudications and placements. So, things that you can congratulate your child on, character things. Hey, I really noticed how awesome it was that you congratulated your friend after they did X, Y, and Z. I'm so proud of you and what a good teammate you are. Finding other wins within your child's behavior, within their achievements. Hey, I really noticed that, you've been working hard all the last, month from this competition to that one on your turns. And whatever happens on stage, like that doesn't matter. What matters is that you've been consistent, and consistency is a win. The win already happened. So finding these wins that are outside of the competition stage, I think emotionally, it takes some of the pressure off what happens on those days because you never know what's going to happen. Sometimes they have good run, sometimes they have bad run. We can't control that, but we can honor and acknowledge and celebrate the hard work and the character that our kids are developing through being a part of a dance program.
I love that. Very, very smart. And so you have your homework from Casey. We have the same homework every single episode, which is to take our free Steps Initiative course. This is a 5-part course series that's going to tackle things like racism, gender inequity, sex abuse prevention, nutrition, psychology, and medicine and science. You're going to be able to go at your own pace. Again, it's completely free, 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 free. So take it. We've got coaches, directors, owners, parents, students that take this. It's for everybody. We're going to give you evidence-based research and resources for you to dive deeper on your own, because when you know better, you do better. Casey, tell everybody that's watching how they can get in touch with you, how they can follow Two Dance Moms, anything that you want to share about what you have going on.
Number one, my co-host Amira and I publish a weekly podcast. It runs through the dance season. So new episodes every Wednesday, September through May, and then there will be some summer bonus episodes. So check us out everywhere you get your podcasts: Apple, iTunes, Spotify, all the major podcast downloadable spaces. You can listen to our 3 seasons that we've published so far. So that's number 1. Number 2 is you can follow us on Instagram at Two Dance Moms Podcast. We post all of our new episodes randomly. We'll have some fun little ways that you can share your opinions or polls. And it's just really nice to check in with some of the other dance parents that are out there and get their collective opinion on what's going on in the dance world from the parents' perspective. And number 3 is you can email us if you have anything you want to share with us directly, twodancemoms@gmail.com.
Thank you so much for being with us. We are super excited to have you here again. Missing Amira, but loving the time to be here with us. As always, I am Melissa McDaniel Grisham here with Bree Zabrowski, and we are signing off. Thank you, Casey, for chatting with us, and thank you for joining us, viewers, for another episode of Beyond the Steps. You can find this episode and all of the episodes from all 5 seasons on YouTube and Facebook at Apolla Performance and at TP Dance Creations. Be sure to like, subscribe, comment, and share. Until next week, continue your journey beyond the